Yeah, I think you can do it. Yeah, the host can do it.
Yeah. Thank you. Please go ahead, Dr. Saita. You can share and have some presentation related to our topic for today.
I can't share the screen. It says host disable participants
Okay.
screen sharing.
So let me make you the host then. Yeah.
Can you see the slide?
It's still in your, yes, we can see your screen, but it's still in the, what do you call?
Folders?
Folder, yes.
Not yet, Doctor. Folder form.
Is it? I always have this problem. I don't know why.
I think you should stop screen and then share screen again and click on the open PPT. Yeah.
Okay, I'll try again.
Okay.
I've started sharing.
Yes, yes, that's good. We can see it now.
Okay. Full screen ready?
Yes.
Okay, very good. Okay, okay, shall I start?
Yes, please.
Okay, very good afternoon. Selamat tengah hari, salam sejahtera to all the students, staff from Indonesia and also to my students in Malaysia. First of all, thank you, Associate Professor Dr. Trias, for inviting me for this guest lecture. The title given to me actually is to write the chapter of results and discussion for nutrition research, but I thought rather than focusing on that particular chapter, why don't I give the whole preparation of thesis for nutrition research. But bear in mind that this is not focused specifically for nutrition research, because my students are from Bachelor of Science, Food Science and Technology. So they can also apply this. And this does not mean only specific for undergraduate student. You can also use this guide for postgraduate for preparing thesis as well. So I hope you can learn and share. So just in case you want me to, you want to ask questions in between while I'm doing it, you can stop and just turn on your mic and just ask me. Okay, jika tidak faham, you boleh tanya dalam bahasa Indonesia, saya boleh faham, saya boleh jawab apa yang saya boleh. I try my best to answer. Okay, so I'm Dr. Rasita from UiTM, Shah Alam, Malaysia. Yeah. Okay, so first of all, so what is a thesis? Just to answer Pak Trias earlier, you mentioned you're not sure what we are doing in UiTM here. Same thing like how in Indonesia, we also have to do a project, a research project. For ours is Food Science and Technology, a degree. So we have to do a project based on food science. So students will be doing this in semester 6. That is, we have semester 6 and 7. So semester 6, they will be doing their proposal. So they have to submit a proposal at the end of the semester like this. Okay, and then we mark and give them. So later I will tell you what are the chapters that they have to do. And then when they go into their lab work in semester 7, so when they finish their lab work, they have to write the chapter of research results and discussion, and also the conclusion, recommendation and all. So after that, then they can come up with the final thesis. So again, you have to submit your final thesis as in this form before you can turn it into a real thesis. Okay, so this is actually apa yang student idamkan, okay, to write the whole thesis. And they always rasa susah sangat nak tulis. Okay, kenapa susah and how to make it easy, I will try to explain. So coming back to my slide, so what is a thesis? Thesis is actually something that is original. It is, you cannot find it anywhere in the database. So it is novel and a new contribution to the knowledge in your specific area. Okay, so you can't find anything based on your title anywhere. Okay, so you are the first one doing it. And a reader or an examiner atau penilai thesis, what they will expect is that you have identified your problem, and in your thesis, you have written the answer to answer your question that you wrote in your thesis. Okay. So that is the definition of thesis. Okay, now organization of thesis ni, there are a lot of things. Okay, a lot of things to be included in a thesis. But if you know what needs to be included, you will not miss anything. So make sure be very organized and you make sure each element is there. Okay, do not miss out. If not, markah kurang. Less marks for you. Okay, so I'll go one by one of what is supposed to be in your thesis. So the title, okay, the title page, and then your acknowledgement at the end of your thesis yang diidamkan itu, okay, you would want to write an acknowledgement section. Okay, you want to acknowledge your friends, your lab mates, your the lab staff who were teaching you, who were assisting you, your supervisor, and then your family or whoever that made a contribution to your thesis. So that is an acknowledgement section. Supervisors won't look at that. Okay, we will just go through, but we won't make any comments or corrections for that. And then in UITM, we have an approval sheet where the supervisor and the coordinator of the program has to sign on it, so that you can submit your thesis for the database. Okay, and then we have the table of contents. Okay, table of contents ni, later I'll come back to that. A table of contents, and then list of tables, list of figures. Okay, this list of tables and figures ni should be whatever that you have written in chapter 4, that is the results and discussion. You should include the caption of the table and the page should be correct. Okay, when you are writing the list of tables and figures. And then list of abbreviations. For your whole thesis, whatever that you have abbreviated, you have to list it here in your list of abbreviations. You can just use Control F and find where you have listed this, and then you write it as what is the abbreviation and what is the full explanation of the abbreviations. And then here in Malaysia, we have 2 abstracts. One is in English, one is in Bahasa Malaysia. So I'm sure if it is in Indonesia, you will write one in Bahasa Indonesia as well. Okay, remember earlier I mentioned that in semester 6, we will ask students to submit a report. We call it here FYP, Final Year Project 1. So whatever that is in red here, listed here, that is for the FYP 1. So that is what is included in your FYP 1. Okay, so chapter 1, okay, you write your introduction. And then you have your chapter 2, you write your literature review, which is the hardest part for students to write. And then you have your chapter 3, which is the methodology or materials and methods. Okay, for this one, because you have the proposal, which I call, which we call proposal in the semester 6, and in semester 7 is the thesis. So if it is in the proposal, it will be in future tense, means you are going to do. So each aspect in your methodology will be, the sentences will be in future tense. So whatever that you are going to do, it will be. Okay, you will use the word will be, okay? And if it is in the final thesis, okay, it will be in past tense, okay, in the thesis. So because you have conducted the thesis, you have carried out all the experiment and you have done it, so you do it in past tense. And then next is the results and discussion, your chapter 4. And then your chapter 5 is your conclusion and recommendations. And you come to the, also the difficult part students claim is the references. Okay, so you make sure each references that you put in your whole chapter of your thesis, okay, chapter 1 until 5 is listed here. Because if it is not listed, okay, some of the examiners that I know, when they are marking your thesis, they actually counter check. Okay, they counter check whether it's available in the references list or not. So your marks will be deducted accordingly. If you do not be specific and be a bit vigilant, then you lose mark unnecessarily. Okay, and then appendices. What is appendices? Appendix atau appendices is whatever information that you think is important, related to your research, but you did not put it in chapter 4, your results and discussion, you put it in appendices. Contoh, example is the output from a chromatogram, output from GC or HPLC, output from your statistical analysis, or any figures from the scanning electron microscope, or anything that you did not include, you feel it is a lot to be included in your chapter 4, you put it in the appendices. Okay, there's no limit of how much appendices that you need to include. And then here, over here, we ask the student to include their curriculum vitae, and we ask also the student to put their Gantt chart. What is Gantt chart? Gantt chart is actually a chart that is like a timeline to tell the examiner what the student plans to do from for proposal until the completion of the thesis. Meaning it is a timeline of what you do, meaning every aspect from how you do your writing, your experiments, until you write up your full thesis, you include it until evaluation. Okay, so that is a Gantt chart, or we call it timeline also. Okay, so it is a timeline for you to know as a student, we know, okay, where are we? Are we progressing well or not? Okay, so earlier I mentioned that I'll come back to the table of content. Okay, so if it is my students, what I suggest to my students is, every different supervisors will have different approach to thesis. Okay, whether you write which chapter first, different according to the supervisors. Okay, but for me, if I'm the supervisor, I will ask my students to write the literature review first, because it opens up their mind when they have read about the literatures in that particular area, so they know what has been done, what not been done, whether our work has been done or not, or how well it has been explored. So it opens up a bit. Okay, so I will ask them to do the literature review first. So remember I said table of contents, so I will ask my student to do table of contents for the literature review first. Okay, so if you cannot still connect, okay, when you are in school, you are asked to do essay, karangan. You have to actually, how you do it is you write isi penting, the important points, and then you do a rangka. Okay, so when you do this rangka and then you kaitkan with your isi penting, then you can actually see the flow of your story, of your essay, correct? Okay, same thing, you apply it in your literature review. So I will ask my students to do a table of content only for their literature review first, the first thing when they come to the semester 6. Okay, so why is that? In case they still don't know how to write their table of contents as a story, it's like writing an essay, like a karangan. Okay, how you want to build your karangan is, if you want to get idea, read review papers, because review papers, they will write it as one by one. Okay, it will be from a big research area, and then they will scope it down. Okay, so for you to get idea. So this is how I approach my students. Okay, now next. Okay, so this is the outline of my talk, what I am going to deliver to you. So I'll touch a bit on the title, on the abstract, on the introduction, the literature review, the methodology, the results and discussion, conclusion and recommendation, and the interpersonal skill has got nothing to do with your thesis. Okay, so only number 1 until number 7 is your thesis. You will be able to get this. But I just want to touch a little bit on the interpersonal skill, because not many lecturers will actually open up the mindset of the students on how you want to achieve your goal, how you want to finish up your writing, because writing seems like the difficult thing to do. Okay, how you want to approach that. So for that, you need a good interpersonal skill. So I will talk about that later. So bear with me until the end, okay? So now we go through the each and every segment of the thesis. Okay, so for the first part is the title. Okay, the title is an important element. It has to be very informative, compact, and concise. And for an examiner or reviewer, it should be able to attract the attention of the examiner itself. Okay, why? Because you want the title to have the key points of your study. Okay, why you need these key points is because first thing, you want the correct words to be there, what you have done, and these are the words that will be used to be indexing the subject. Okay. Usually the title shouldn't be too short. We try to limit the title to 15 to 20 words and make sure it is not very long. Okay. So if we keep the title short and sweet, but make sure it has got all the elements that you need, then it is fine. Okay. So I'll just give an example of some of the titles from my students. Okay, so example here, title 1, antioxidant and antimicrobial activity of cocoa pod husk. Cocoa pod husk is the waste from after extracting the cocoa bean. Okay, so it's a fruit. Okay, so this title 1, tengok komen So title 1 is focused. All right, this is what the examiners would want. Compared to title 2, which only states that physical-chemical properties of cocoa pod husk. It is not to say this is wrong, but this title is very general because the person who did this title did not mention what exactly the physical-chemical properties that they are measuring. Okay. Okay, next. Okay, the next title is number 3, another study. Okay, university students and their preference for food purchase using online medium. Okay, now the comment for title 3 is that this appears to be focused on university students. Okay, compared to title 4, is online food purchase preference of university students. So for title 4, the comment is that it appears to be focused on food preference. So for every student, you should actually lead the reader onto what your focus is. Okay, and then please, I hope students usually they will depend on the supervisors to create the title for them. Don't do that. It's your own research. You take charge of your research and you have to try to create your own title. So when you suggest your title to supervisors, you are giving them chance to think, okay, this title is somewhat can be accepted. So at least you are discussing with your supervisor rather than you are depending on your supervisor and Doktor, tajuk apa eh? No. You supposed to suggest what is the focus that you want to go and how it should be written. Okay. Okay, next, that is about title. So next is abstract. Okay, for the abstract, like what I mentioned, it will be in Bahasa and also in English. So abstract is usually the last thing to write. Okay, the last part to write, keep it to the last. And how we write abstract is that we summarize important and significant findings. I will explain what is significant, meaning yang ada perubahan, that is yang ada perubahan with statistical analysis. Not you look at the value, oh, this value 7 and 10, okay, 10 is bigger. No, you must do your statistics. So meaning if your finding is statistically different, then you put that in your abstract. All right, and then abstract, and then abstract.
Kurang nih Tan. Enggak. Gantenganan. Lurus.
Tolong mute please.
Helen.
Okay.
Oh, juga tetap belum betul itu. Oke, gas. Kasih gas.
Ada yang tak mute ini.
Helen, please your microphone.
Ada lagi.
Helen,
sudah? Okay. Okay. All right. Okay. Summarize significant findings. Okay. And then abstract. Usually, they have word count. So limit within 150 to 250 words. Some can go up to 300, but don't go more than that. Okay. Try to limit because we want abstract to be something that is concise. Okay. So abstract is a concise, meaning it is one page only. Condensation, meaning it is compact. Condensation of the content of your whole thesis, of your full report by 95%, meaning it's compact, and complete report of your work that can stand alone, meaning actually when you give your thesis for evaluation, the first thing your examiner is going to do is they look at your title. After that, they open your abstract. Okay, because they want to see what is written there. So meaning it can stand alone without any further explanation. Okay, so make sure you do your abstract properly. So how are we going to do that? Okay, what not to include? I'll go to that later. So what not to include in your abstract is a discussion of your results. No, we do not want to see any discussion there. Only your findings. And then no references, no tabulated data. Apa itu tabulated data? Maksudnya any tables or any figures? No, no need. And then results that are not significant, like what I mentioned tadi, 7 and 10, meaning you report only 10, but you're not looking at the statistical analysis. No, cannot do that. And if it is statistically not significant, then do not have to write it. And not to include any abbreviations unless, if you want to put abbreviation, can, but you write it in full, okay? And unless the abbreviation is very commonly known, for example, like DNA, okay? DNA or PH or BMI, this is very common, so you can put it. And then findings from other researchers, same like discussing your results. Okay, no citation and no findings from other researchers. It's fully only your results only. Okay, no discussing it. So how to do it? So an abstract must include the objectives or the hypothesis of your study and justify why you need to do it. So you are answering the why and what are you doing in your thesis, in your whole thesis. So that is in your abstract. And then the basic materials and methods that you did. So how? So make sure you answer all these questions in your abstract. And then the main and significant results only, okay, that you obtain. And the significant conclusions that you can draw from your whole research work. And the final 1 or 2 sentences of what is your contribution to the research gap. Just to remind you what is meant by research gap, student takkan faham. So apa itu research gap? Maksudnya research banyak dilakukan, okay? It's being done for all these years, okay? So if it is in your area, gap maksudnya ruang, okay? Ruang di antara research orang lain and your research. Apa gap yang ada? So you can put that in 1 sentence, okay? So what you did. Okay, I'll just give an example of abstracts. So as you know, now we are in the COVID era. Okay, so students were not allowed to come to the lab and do their work. So last semester, our students, we asked to do review-based thesis. Okay, so they had to write review-based abstract because of COVID. So this is from my students. So I'll just explain of how the questions that I put earlier in earlier slide and how they did it. So just bear with me. So this title is Effect of Heat Treatment, suhu ya, heat treatments on antioxidant activity and trace minerals for different parts, tempat yang berbeza of jackfruit waste. Okay, waste, I'm not talking about the fruit, a review. So the first in red is actually the what and why you're doing it. Okay, what is jackfruit waste and why you're doing it? It can be converted to a value-added product. Okay, and then next is how you do it. So these are all the how you do it. Meaning this particular student reviewed all the antioxidant, okay, antioxidant and trace minerals, meaning how is using this method, Folin method and FRAP method, and also for trace minerals method is not here, okay, should be ICP. So the trace minerals method should be in the another form here. Okay, and the next is your results. So what did you find? Okay, so all this in blue. Okay, so what is it that the student found? And the last part, okay, if you see the last part, is the, in this color here, is the, what do you call it? The conclusion of, important conclusion of why and what did you get it? Okay, so what is your overall finding? So what this student found is that minerals such as this are found to be present in jackfruit waste. Okay, and this one, 2 sentences is actually what next to be done. I think this last sentence that are related to fruit waste have gained interest in researchers, make sure that they can be conserved, then being discarded. Okay, so that is the gap that you are finding. Okay, so I hope this one can open a bit of your mind of how to write abstract. Okay, next example of abstract is the research base, meaning you go to lab, you do your research work, your lab work, and then you write your thesis, and then you have to write your abstract. Okay, so this is one of my students' work as well. So the title is Effect of Different Cooking Methods on Physical-Chemical Properties. and antioxidant activity of mushroom. Okay, this is specific, only one type of mushroom. Mushroom in sana ialah jamur, ya. Okay. Okay, and then this one, the one in red is the beginning. So why you do it? Okay, so the influence of cooking method, and the listed here, what is the cooking method? You study that on this particular mushroom. And then remember earlier I mentioned that you have to write your materials, how you do it. Okay, that was in green. But if you see here, there is no green in this abstract, meaning they have combined their findings and how they did it in a same paragraph. Okay, so if you can see here, the L meaning the color, they did the color, and then this is the radical scavenging activity for antioxidant. How they do it is by prep. Okay, so they did include how they did it in their results itself. Some examiners wouldn't like this, but you can also write it this way. Okay, and then the last bit is the conclusion and what they found. Okay, boiling and steaming were established as the best process to maintain the nutritional profile of mushroom. Okay, that is the finding that they find in this study. Okay, okay, I'll go next. That's for abstract. So I'll go next. This is for the introduction. So the introduction should include a few elements. Okay, so the introduction has got the background of study, has got the problem statement. It can be the one statement or it can be a lot of problems. And then significance of study, problem statement and significance berkait. Okay, so it is a consequence. And then you write your objectives of study. So for degree level, usually we will have about 2 to 3 objectives. Okay, and then for introduction, usually we want the student to be writing an introduction that is informative, because it is your area of research. I don't know, somebody is scribbling on the screen. Okay. And then, so be informative. How you explain the rationale for your study and your objectives. And you have to identify your area of research. Okay, so you only use references that is related to your area of research. And then you state the hypothesis you are investigating, or you define the problem that you are trying to solve. All this in the introduction. And you bring the reader or the examiner up to date on what has been done already in your area. Because bear in mind, your examiner do not know about your area. Okay, so you have to bring them to that particular area. And you provide background information on your research subject. And this has to be written in past tense, because all the research you are citing from other researchers, so it has been done. So it has to be written in the past tense. Okay, and then for the introduction still, so we write usually the introduction after we have completed the literature review. Okay, because like what I mentioned for my students, I would ask them to do the literature review to open up their mind a little bit, and at least and then further you write your material and methods, and then only you write your introduction. So you have an idea of what is going on in this area of research. So you introduce the subject area first, and then continue with relevant selected previous work. So how is that? This selected previous work should contain the background information on your particular area, and you have to cite them. Okay, who you should cite is that researcher who had the first idea, and researcher who has done the most relevant work and recent work, and what is the gap that you are trying to put in, fill in, that they didn't do and you are trying to do. And please make sure when you are writing, sangat senang untuk copy paste. Okay, please, you have to cite or quote. If not, it's considered plagiarizing. So what is plagiarism? It's actually using other people's idea. You copy, you paste. You copy, you paste. Copy, paste, thesis. Sudah siap. Okay, no. For those who don't know, you actually must run a plagiarism check. Okay, here in UiTM, we do a plagiarism check. It should be less than 30% in Turnitin. Then only you can submit a thesis. Okay, so make sure whenever you cite, you try to rephrase their sentences and write in your own sentences, and then you write their reference from where you are taking that. Okay, so that means you are quoting other researchers' past work. How you do this? Meaning you put the citation, it can be part of the sentence or it is in brackets. Maksudnya, example, I give the example, meaning you give your sentences, meaning this sentence, you cannot copy straight from the literature, cannot. You have to write in your own words, which is the hard part. And then in the bracket, okay, the one in the bracket here, you put your author name. If the author is more than 3 authors, you have to put et al. Okay, followed by the year. If ada 1 author or 2 author, then you have to list the author's name. So you should know when to use et al. Right? And then this is in the brackets. Okay, another example is you rephrase your sentence and you how you write is, let's say, the author. Okay, like here, Chang and Miles, 2004, found that or reported that they initiated this work. Okay, they found this blah, 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 blah. So you write your own sentences as well. No copying straight from the journal and paste it in your thesis, cannot. If you, maybe you can tell that to your supervisor that you didn't do it, but when you put it in the Turnitin for you to check for plagiarism, it will detect. So you tak boleh nak tipu. And then you have to include the plagiarism punya checklist in your thesis. Example, it's like this. Okay, example is like this. It will write here what is the percentage of your similarity. And then it will list down what are the references and from where you take. Okay. Okay, that's that. That's introduction. Okay, and then problem statement, puzzle or the research gap that you are trying to solve. Very pointed and focused. You should clearly be important and make some unique or significant contribution to the theory and practice. It's a concise statement of the question that your thesis want to tackle, and you justify if there is any previous work that has not been answering your particular research question, then you can justify by your previous work. And you discuss why you need to do this problem, masalah. And you should at least have one problem. And this problem that you write, it will be related to significance of research. Tadi itu masalah. Significance meaning siapa benefit, who will take the benefit, and why you need to do this. Tadi ada problem, so kenapa you buat? Sebab ada problem ini. Okay, and who will get the benefit? Either the community, either the industry, is it the consumer, is it the policy maker, the country, or who? Okay, is it anybody in the food supply chain maybe? Okay, so you have to write, you kena tulis. And then objectives. So objectives is what you should achieve at the end of the study for research, and should not be too many, and must be measurable. Ni example untuk review basin for time COVID. The example is, this is one of my students one. So to determine the pharmacology of tiger milk mushroom, jamur again, which are antimicrobial activity, antioxidant and anti-inflammatory, and also to determine the toxicity effect of tiger milk mushroom. So my student actually reviewed all those that has been done on this. And if it is objectives, contoh, I give example, if it is research based. So they have 3 here. To determine, it has to be measurable. To determine and compare the chlorogenic acid, very specific, and total phenolic compounds in pulp of pineapple, papaya, mango. To determine the antioxidant and peroxidase activity enzyme. To determine the physical chemical properties. This is still, I would say, not really proper, because I would ask my students to write in bracket what is the physical chemical properties that they want to measure. Okay, so that is more specific. It can give your reviewer know what you are doing. Okay, now come to literature review. So literature review should contain sufficient background information on your subject area. Again, like just the introduction, you should cite previous researcher in this area, of who had the first idea, who did the most relevant work and recent work. References you can find in journals, in proceedings, of seminars, conferences, book, thesis, dissertation, got so many. But make sure you cite it. And like earlier I mentioned, write table of content untuk literature review. So you break up the LR section into logical segments, okay, by using subheadings. And then always mention the tables, meaning you explain about the table and figure first in text, and then only you put it in the form of table or figure. Meaning you explain in text first, then only you present your table and figures. And make sure each table, each figure should have caption. Okay, a simple tips on how to write. Like what I mentioned earlier, read review paper in your specific area of research. You look at how they created the flow of storyline, jalan cerita. Use that as a guide to create your own framework of LR and logical segments. And most of the students will tell me that it is difficult to find reference in the area. Susah nak cari journal. Yes, it will be, sebab you yang first time buat research tu, memang takkan jumpa. Okay? So try expanding your LR to similar sample of biological family. I'm sure you would have learned your biology. So you refer back to domain taxonomy, your species, your family. You can expand a little bit. Okay, so what research has been done in that, you put in your LR. So your sample will be different, but your discussion from the family should be the same. And then revolve in the same area of research and don't deviate a lot. So antioxidant, enzyme, waste, sensory, consumer perception and everything. So you cannot go further away. You must revolve in the same area of research. And then try to fill and explain existing gap in previous research that has been done. Okay. So these are the tips for literature review. Now, this is also some of the parts that students find it difficult. Okay. But if you already have your plan, then for methods, then it wouldn't be very difficult. Okay, so now I go into methodology or materials and methods. So it creates the context for evaluating your data, and you have to include all the description of your materials, procedures, and how you took your sample and what you did, what measurement, what control, what assumption you did, what are you going to measure, what variables. And you have to put that nicely in sentences, and also you have to provide detailed information so that your study actually can be replicated for the next researcher. And you describe procedures and methods used, for example, sampling strategy, what is the sample location, what is the tool that you use or sampling device, or how you manipulate your samples. And of course, the last thing you need to include is your statistical analysis. Okay, statistical analysis are there a few. You can use the SAS, you can use the SPSS or Minitab. So depending on how you analyze your results. Statistical is very important. Most of the students will struggle here as well. I'm not sure if students in UNE learn about statistics or not. If at all you have this kind of problem, even for the software, you can ask the librarian if they have a student version of this. Okay, and make sure you know how to use the software. Okay, just some tips for the stats. So earlier I was saying that you have to look at the significance difference. Okay, so significant differences between samples and variables or parameters that you need to check the significance difference. And then from the results that you get, you yourself need to check whether you need to do correlation analysis or not. For example, Pearson. I'm talking here, this is from SPSS, significant test. Pearson correlation, for example here, Pearson correlation. So this is water with skin. Pearson correlation, this one, 0.985, meaning how well it is correlated. If it is towards 1, meaning it has got strong correlation. So same goes to skin and water. Pearson correlation is 0.9. Okay, so it has got a strong correlation. So correlation is actually explaining how well your parameters and your samples are working together. Okay, and then check the need to evaluate the trend or profile. Use principal component analysis or principal component regression, PCA, PCR. You will get like an equation. The figure will be like this. Okay, and then you will get a trend of your sample. Okay, so in case you want to do a trend. And then if you are doing kinetics, how you want to present your results. Okay, there is like in Excel, how you want to do it nicely so that you can show the kinetics evolution over time. Okay, how you want to do it. And okay, and then this one for our students here in UiTM, we ask students to present overall methodology. Okay, so we use flowcharts to visualize the whole material and methods, the processing methods and handling of your samples, materials, but be careful of the connecting arrows. I'll show why. Be organized and logical order. And if you use a well-known method, name it and refer to the paper in which it is described. And if you do modification, you have to describe how you do it. Okay. Okay, example here, the methodology. Example, so here the fruit were obtained from where? And then all were of eating quality, selected based on shape, size, uniform, and commercial maturity stage. Actually, it should be one more sentence of saying what is the maturity stage index. And then sample prep, you dry the sample at what temperature and how you do it, you have to tell. Okay. So example of maturity index, different fruit have got different maturity index, and even within a fruit, it has got a different variety of fruit. Okay, so you have to be specific. Tell that to explain that in the materials and methods. Okay, and then another example is this is enzyme activity and peroxidase activity. So you have to explain each and everything how you did until you analyze. It can be done in triplicates. So how much you weigh, what is the temperature, how you do it, how you homogenize, how many minutes, what you do with the extract, what is the reference, and then next, how you are doing the assay, what you use spectrometer, and then what is your substrate, what is your extract, what is your sample, and then how long you are measuring this, what is the wavelength. This is a spectrometer. spectrophotometer. So what is the wavelength and for how long you do it. Okay, so in detail, very detailed, and how many times you did it. Okay, this is also very important. Okay. Okay, remember I mentioned that you have overall methodology. So just a graphical representation of how you want to make it simple. Actually, you can use this when you are presenting your thesis. Okay. So example here, this is your sample. Okay, this one is about broccoli, one of my students one as well. So each analysis, what you have to do is you have to write your whose method are you using, the reference. Okay, so if you see here, hardness, no reference. So this one is incorrect. And this one, statistical analysis is hanging. Actually, it should be connected. Remember I said about be careful of the connecting arrow. You have to connect all this to statistical analysis. You have to connect. Some of the students like to connect here and here. That is wrong. Don't do that. They like to connect here, 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 or connect. No, wrong. Don't do that. Okay, please make sure your connection of line is correct. It goes from top to bottom. Like this one, eh? Example is this. Overall methodology. Here, so what is your sample? And then what is your analysis? And then it's all connected. Each analysis is connected to the statistical analysis. Okay, so this is how you should connect it. You don't have connection here. No, this is not related. Okay, don't connect it. This one, it is related, so you can connect it. All right. Okay, next. The results and discussion, the most important part of your thesis. Okay, before I talk about this, for this one, I just touch about the statistics again. So if you want to do the significance difference for SPSS and even the correlation analysis, you can use the SPSS. Make sure you know whether you need to do t-test. If you have one sample, two variable, then you do t-test. If you have a lot of sample, a lot of variables, then you have to use ANOVA. So whether you want to use one-way ANOVA or two-way, you have to decide. And you have to know when you want to do comparison between samples, you have to do, we call it post hoc comparison. There's many different types of post hoc that you can do. Post hoc Taki, it's all in the software that you can select, and then it will come with the output. And how you look at the significance, it's like it will have different subsets. So the subset with the highest number of mean value, so that is your A. Okay, and then you go next. You go next. So that is your A, B, C. Okay. Later when we go to results, I will explain further. Okay, now. So this is the results and discussion. So that's the most important part of your thesis. Not only your acquiring your lab results, okay, but how you want to write it. So now I will discuss only about the results first, before I go into discussion. Okay, now the results section should summarize the data. You emphasize important patterns or trends, and then illustrate and support your generalization of how you explain what happens and why it happens with stats and examples of representation and typical cases, and brief reference to your table and figures. Okay, and of course you have done it, so you have to use past tense. Okay, so results and discussion here. So you break up your results into logical segments by using subheadings. Okay, for example, if you have several results, you have to put them in different segments, meaning effect of color and texture on what. So you only, in that subsection, you only discuss about color, texture in that subsection. Okay, and then combine results from similar kind of results, meaning physical or chemical, into a proper subheadings, like what I mentioned earlier. And then present the results first. You cannot, what do you call it? You cannot bagi apa yang orang dah buat dahulu, then baru you present your results. No, you have to write your own results first. You show what is your figure or text, or figure or table, and then baru come to discussion. Okay, so saya belum masuk discussion lagi, results sahaja. Okay, present the results first, and then only follow by discussion. And then always mention the table or figures first in the text before presenting them. So for example, table 1 below shows the results obtained on peroxide value of sausages. Full stop. And then you kena explain. You have to explain the results a bit. You tak boleh table 1 show blah 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 and then you put the table. No, that's wrong. Okay. Or the results obtained on the peroxide value of sausage are shown in table 1. Because most of the students, that is what they do. They write this sentence and then they show the table and that's it. No, you have to discuss a little bit about the what is in your peroxide value, for example, from this. Okay, the tips then. The tips here is you present your results in a logical and orderly fashion, and you use the same sequence as in your methods and material or your materials and methods section. Be complete. But then you have to be concise and use maximum make sure you use maximum point of your table and figures, meaning one good graph can actually be worth of 1,000 words. Like what I mentioned earlier, jangan tulis one sentence, table 1 shows blah 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 dot, and then you put your table. No, that is totally wrong. Okay. And then give final and meaningful data only, meaning no raw data, meaning the data has already been evaluated by statistics. Okay. And then meaning after statistical analysis, if you present graph, make sure you put all the statistical tables in the appendix, meaning like what I mentioned earlier, the post hoc comparison, the output of that must be in the appendix. And then for presenting results in numbers, use up to 2 decimal places. So for example, 20.13, not 20.1289. Ada yang panjang lagi. Cannot. For small numbers, as in standard deviations, use up to 2 significant figures as well. Jangan panjang sangat. Okay? Okay. Now, still in results. So how to present the table in your thesis. So example, this is for color measurement. Remember I mentioned about significant differences. Whoever don't know those in letters here. Okay, these are the one that is indicating the significant differences. And then for tables, sorry, I don't have the caption here. So it should write table 1 ... shows what. And then note, footnote dekat at the down here. It should be means within each column, meaning column going downwards, with different subscripts are significantly different, meaning if it is A and B, these are significantly different. And then if you see, it's all different letters, so all are significantly different. And you must also write lowercase letters indicate the effect of color measurement on different treatment. These are the treatment of stir-fried broccoli. Okay, and then you explain. After you write your table caption, so you explain there was a significant difference in L for control for all the treatment, and then L values was decreased when time of cooking increased. So this is how you explain. And then A value significantly increased. A value, this one. Okay, when cooking time increase. A value, for those who don't know, is represents the greenness, meaning the more negative value, more green. Okay, when the negative value reduces, it is of less green. and then only you go to your discussion here. Okay. Okay, Naman, we will come to discussion in a while. Okay, this is what I was explaining earlier. How you want to do your significant difference for your results and discussion. So if this is from SPSS, so if you put in your data in the SPSS, you analyze, compare means, one way ANOVA, and then you put in your all your parameter, your dependent list and your factor, and then you can do your post hoc here. So this is how usually we do a post hoc Taki. Okay, you can do Duncan, you can do Bonferroni. Okay, depends what you want to do, and then you compare. You when you continue, what you get for you to determine your significance difference. Usually you get in this kind of tables. Okay, so let's say this is your sample and this is your parameters. Okay, so for example, this one would be A, meaning number 4 would be A, 5 would be A, 3 here will be A, and then 1 here will be B, 2 here will be B. What if there is another number 7 here? So this number 1 here will be A, B. Okay, so when you do comparison, meaning all these 3 is significantly different than this, but this 4 and 5 is not significant different. Okay, if you have a problem to analyze the statistical output, please try to get help. Okay, it is very important. Mostly students cannot interpret or say the results that they have from the statistical analysis. Okay, so you have to learn, get help, whether from librarian or any statistician or whatnot. Okay, okay, this is the earlier one was only 2 subsets. What if you have a lot of subsets? So if you have a lot of subsets, you start the A from the column number 13, B, and then you move forward, move forward until you come to here. Okay, so you have to because you have a lot of sub-columns here, you have to write it accordingly. Okay, don't make mistake. And these are the ones, the what do you call it? The output from SPSS is the ones that you have to include in your appendix. Okay, because some of the examiner, if they find your explanation is not correct, they will go and look back at your appendix of how you analyze your results with statistics, and then they will try to look back whether you have interpreted correctly or not. If you interpret wrongly, again, kurang markah. Your marks will be reduced. Okay. Okay, and then next is still in results. So table presentation of how you present your table. So again, this one, so means this is from sensory analysis. Okay, so how you want to explain your results. So stir-fried broccoli at minute 6 and 9 was acceptable and preferable as compared to others. And very short cooking time lead to undesirable sensory profile. So you look at the which one, like A, B, okay, your statistical analysis, and you have to, if we are looking at overall acceptability, we have to see which one do not share the A and B. So because if it is sharing, you compare with B, no, this is not statistically significant. Okay, that is what I mean. And then this is for figures, histograms. Weight loss of mushroom sample packed in different packaging at chill temperature, and this is room temperature. So the explanation. So this one also has got significant differences. So how you want to explain? So there was significant difference in weight loss, and which one is higher than the other? So you have to explain, and then you see whether it's significant or not, and then only you go to the discussion part. Why you explain? Okay, for results, just for the results, what you should not do. Okay, you present the same results twice or more, meaning you already presented in the text, and then some of them, they even present in the table, and they also present in the graph. No, either table or graph, only one, and you explain about them in the text. So choose the most appropriate way for presenting it in your thesis. And then omit, you cannot omit the data that you consider negative or outlier. Cannot. In the sense that they don't comply to your hypothesis. No, don't do that. Okay, meaning you are like considered cheating. And then give primary data, meaning it is raw and unprocessed. So don't do that. And interpret the data or draw major conclusions, but this should be done in the discussion and conclusion section respectively. So immediately after you write your results, the next come to the discussion part. Okay, so now I'm going to give the tips for your discussion. So the discussion section should answer the following questions. So what are the patterns that you observe? And when you have pattern, what are the relationship? What is the trend? And how you generalizing this trend? Okay. So what are the exception to these patterns or generalization? And relate the results to your hypothesis. Does your result prove that your hypothesis is correct or not? And why it does? Okay, why it does is because of this. What is the mechanism that is underlying, that is causing the pattern? Okay, and then has it been done before in another sample, in another area? Okay, so is there an agreement or disagreement with your work and your previous work? Okay, and then relate your findings to those obtained by other researchers, meaning you say whether it's an agreement, whether they corroborate your results, or whether they don't support. And if it like contradicts, you have to explain, oh, maybe the species is different, or maybe it's because of this. You have to explain why. What is the cause of the differences? And then you relate to the theory, the concepts, the principle, or any facts, but make sure, be careful with extrapolating your results with too much of speculation. Okay, don't make too much of speculation and too broadly generalizing things. Okay, you can put the cause for your trend, but don't go too much in as a generalization. Okay, that is for results in discussion and analyzing your statistical analysis. So now we come to the conclusion part. So when it is the conclusion, it's actually the summary of your thesis. They are short, concise statements of the inference that you make from your work. And what are the conclusion which is significant from your findings? And all conclusions should be directly related to your research questions. So actually, when you are writing your conclusion, you should refer back to your chapter 1, your objective, and your problem statement. Whether your conclusion and your problem statement and your objectives tally or not, whether it answers the question or not. Okay, usually it should answer. And what is their significance with regards to the problem that you tried to solve? Okay, so how you try to solve the problem that you actually raised in the first chapter. Okay, meaning the problem that you get. And there is another section, which is the recommendation. So you include that at the end of your conclusion, towards the end. You can separate it or even put it in a separate paragraph. And it is a remedial action to solve the problem. Actually, how you write your recommendation is when you have any problem that you face, only you will know. Your supervisor won't know because you are the one doing your lab work in the lab. So any problems that you encountered when you are doing your research, it can actually open for further research exploration. So that could be in your recommendation. and further research that you can think of. Okay, usually when you are doing your lab work, you can think of, or you came through any recent papers, then you can write that in your recommendation to fill in gaps in the reader's understanding. Because now just imagine you are the expert in your own thesis, your own research area. So the reader do not have an idea of what you are doing. So this gives direction for future investigations on this or related topic. And then come to references. Okay, some of the students would say that references also sangat susah, difficult. Okay, the list of references is an alphabetically ordered list of sources of information you have referred to for your whole thesis, mostly manuscripts, scientific publications, but you can also put websites, any software or online databases or books, book chapters, thesis, can be anything. But make sure whatever you have cited in the text must be listed like what I mentioned. Some examiners will open, cross-check, dia akan mark, setiap satu dia akan mark, ada ke tak ada. Okay, because examiner is just trying to find your mistake. And then cite all ideas, concept, facts, data that are not your own. Maksudnya when you are writing something, if you copy from somewhere, you have to write, you give credit to that particular author. And if you make a statement, you back it up with your own data or a reference. Okay. And how you want to write references? List all references cited in the text in alphabetical order using correct format for different type of materials. So for example here, Azliza, this is a Master of Science. So you must write your thesis title, Master of Science, and from which university. And then this one is a manuscript, Barnes, 2003. Your manuscript title, journal name, volume, and page number. If you can see here, there's some mistakes that I can find. Okay, even me, I can find. This one I take from my students. And then this one line, this is the title of the manuscript. This is the journal name, volume title, volume and the page number. Okay, what is the mistakes that I find? This one is a sentence case. Okay, you can see A besar, C besar, E besar, K besar, B besar. Is it correct way to write? Please refer back to your previous thesis that's available, should be available in your library. Okay, here the title of the manuscript is not like this. Betul? It is only sentence case. This is title case. Okay, so this is Bezer. And then one more here in this reference, they have included the DOI number. So if you do include your DOI number, make sure you include for all. So this is also a journal paper, correct? So you have to include your DOI number if you want. Usually it is not needed for thesis. So you can eliminate this. And make sure journal is not abbreviated. The name of the journal, this one is abbreviated, this one is in full. So don't do that. So these are the small things that the examiner will look. That actually what they want to do again, like what I say, they are just finding your mistake. Okay. Okay, next is references, like what I mentioned earlier. It can be articles from journals, can be from book, chapter of a book, article with no identifier author, we try to don't use that. Magazine or newspaper articles, technical report, conference, seminar proceedings, thesis, patent, any personal communication or whatsoever that you can actually refer to. Okay. And then the for references, tips that I can give is that because students will find it difficult. Okay, so use referencing software like EndNote, Mendeley, EasyBit, Zotero. Students can actually check in the library whether they have a student version or not. Okay, so if they have a student version, they can give it to you. Otherwise, you can just look at on the ones that is free version in online, and then you use it. Why I recommend using these kind of softwares rather than doing yourself, doing manually? Sebab when you use software, you reduce mistake. Okay, and then if you do manually, you kena buat satu-satu. By the end of your thesis, you ada banyak references to look at. Okay, you akan jadi pening kepala. So if you do manually, you have to check one by one, cited and listed. So how you do is you either you print, lepas tu you tulis satu-satu, or you check Control F. You Control F, fine. Yang ni dah list ke belum? Dah list ke belum? Dah list ke belum? Satu-satu you kena check. Okay, so that's why I would prefer students using the softwares. And also one more thing, when you are doing your thesis organization, okay, try to use the style function dalam Word. In the Word ada styles. Okay, you can create your own table of content pun kat dalam tu. So bila you dah create your own table of content, when you want to do the subsection, dia akan create sendiri. Okay, and then bila you view the navigation pane, okay, when you view, bila you click dekat let's say chapter 3, dia akan straight pergi ke chapter 3. You tak payah scroll one by one, one page, because by that end when you are doing a thesis, you maybe have 40-50 pages, so you tak payah scroll one by one. So try to be a bit smart lah. Kalau tak tahu macam mana nak buat, you can actually Google. Okay, this one is it is available in Word. Okay, and then we come to appendices. So include all less relevant data that you did, like what I mentioned, that you did not include in your results and discussion chapter. You put it in the appendix. So for example, reference data, your materials that are not easily available. Another thing is your calculation, detailed calculation. You put it inside. And then your chromatogram, like what I mentioned earlier, and the output from statistical analysis, you must put it. And then this detailed calculation, in case you are doing dilution, you're doing any calculation, derivation, how you get your concentrations, all those you can put it in. And a list of equipment used for an experiment or detail of complicated procedures. And figures and tables directly related to the study, make sure you should embed in the text and not in the appendix. Okay, your main findings must be in chapter 4, results and discussion. Don't go and put it in the appendix. Mengamuk kamu punya examiner. Okay, and then remember I was talking about Gantt chart. Okay, so this is for us in UiTM. Is semester 6 student and semester 7. So dia tulis sini 1 dan 2, maksudnya FYP1, FYP2. So from the first of identifying the title until submit contract, literature review, what they do next. Research design, finalize proposal, presentation, submission, and then assembly of apparatus, run experiment, compile data, analysis of data. You present your final report, maksudnya your final thesis, you present, and then you combining, macam yang saya tunjuk, like how I showed to you, combining this one of your report, and then submission of final draft report, that is the hardbound. Okay, nowadays we ask for hardbound and CD. Okay, so when you put your hard work, effort and everything for your thesis, make sure you do one for yourself as well. Okay, it's about I don't know, that's the only thing that you have as a remembrance later. Okay, that is all about thesis. Now remember I said there is something extra that I'm going to give you. I'm just going to talk a little while more, right? So these are the interpersonal skills. Maybe some of my students have seen this. Okay, so I'm just going to cater towards thesis writing. So first is meet your supervisor, and then time manage, how you manage your time, persistent and enthusiasm, start writing early, resources, evaluation criteria, and ask. Always ask. It's not wrong to ask question. Okay. So first thing, ini I have been in. Okay, this is for your supervisor. So meet your supervisor as often as you can. Supervisor bukannya harimau. Jangan takut. Okay, either now the technology has developed so much compared to my time. Okay, so you can actually meet them virtually, you can meet them physically, however you want to meet and communicate, email, text, WhatsApp, whatsoever, everything can. Okay, I've been invited to this Universitas Negeri Surabaya in December last year to give a public lecture. So I got impressed with this banner outside their faculty, where they have their etika ketika berhubung dengan dosen. So for Malaysians, dosen is lecturer, okay, via SMS or WhatsApp. Okay, so I was impressed because usually students are not told about this. So perhatikan waktu, okay. Sama ada when you are actually contacting your supervisor, is it waktu sibuk atau waktu rehat? And then penggunaan bahasa, whether you are using a proper language and sopan lah, ini benar sopan dan hindari penyingkatan kata. Yes, because some of the supervisors don't understand your kata singkat. And then bagi salam, of course, bagi salam dan ucap maaf kalau ia di luar waktu bekerja. Okay, so kalau bagi ucap salam and then minta maaf and then perkenalkan diri, bukan semua. Maybe bila dah lama supervisor akan save your number, tapi first few times they won't save your number and name, so they tak kenal. So jangan terus pergi kepada point. Perkenalkan diri. Who are you and what do you want? Okay, to the point straight. And then bila dah dapat jawapan tu, ucap terima kasih. Jangan hilang pula. Okay. So these are the very simple etika that can be practiced by students. Sopan lah, sopan. Right. Okay, this one I've always told my students, the very difficult part that for a student, but it is very, very important for you to manage your time management skills. Nobody tells you about this. Okay, tidak sesiapa akan bagi tahu tentang time management. Time management is very important. Why? Okay, let us look at this. Okay, now if you want to see this one, I'm just going to go through this. So if you see this total available time that you have is 24 hours for 7 days. Total dia kita tengok paling high, high 168 hours. This is in hours, jam. Okay. Ini Sunday off. Hari Ahad cuti. Kalau cuti tolak 24 jam 144. Okay. Tapi kita sebagai student Sabtu Ahad cuti. Alright. So tolak lagi lah 24 jam. Okay. So ini kalau kita tidak tolak, kita tengok apa yang berlaku. Okay, kalau sleep, number of days 6, maximum 7 hours. So bila dah tambah 6 times 7 tu 42. So bila tolak 102 hours. Ini kalau kita tidur 7 jam. Tapi ada kala kita tidur lebih dari 7 jam. Okay. Ada juga tidur petang. Itu masuk mana? Tak tahu. Okay. And then sports. 1.5 hours. Ada juga student saya told me, oh, kita tak main sports, so masuk dekat tidur lah. Okay, suka hati kamu lah. Okay, so 93 hours balance. And then dimakan. Makan max here 2 hours for 6 days. So minus another 12 hours, so 81 hours. I'll tell you why. Each and everything. So it's actually telling each and every activity per day. And then traveling. Traveling kat sini ada traveling 1.5 hours. So this includes not traveling you balik kampung or what, you know. Traveling per day maksudnya when you are in campus from your house or college or asrama or dorm, you travel ke bilik kuliah and then you balik kepada bilik. Okay, those kind of traveling. So per day, what happens? So sudah tolak 63 hours. And then mandi and upkeep. Okay, berapa lama you mandi, you punya upkeeping 54 hours. Ini kat sini 1,5 jam je. Untuk the whole day, bukan satu kali je. And then socializing. Sekarang socializing is too much dengan ini, benda ini, this device. With the phone itself, you can socialize so much. So what if you are actually physically socializing dengan kawan? Sembang, membawang, cakap, semua. Dekat phone ada Facebook, ada WhatsApp, ada Twitter, ada Insta, sekarang ada TikTok, ada YouTube, ada macam-macam. Okay, sekejap-sekejap buka phone, sekejap-sekejap buka phone, then your socializing time dekat sini 1.5 hours je. Okay, so balance 45 hours. And then wastage. Let's say lah wastage. Ni 1 jam je. Ini wastage saya kira if you are in campus, you ada time antara kelas kan? Okay, so those time antara kelas tu you akan sembang. Dekat bawah pokok, dekat kafe, semua tu you akan sembang, correct? Okay, all those are considered wastage. Okay, so that kind of all these elements sudah masuk 39 hours. Okay, so if you tolak ada 39 hours je. And then you ada guided learning lagi dekat kelas. So that is 8 to 5, 5 days kan? Monday to Friday. So itu 40 jam. Sekarang sudah pergi mana? Macam mana you nak buat ulang kaji? How you gonna self-learn? Mana ada masa nak buat assignment? Mana ada masa nak buat ini? Mana ada masa nak buat ini? To do your writing? Cannot. No time for you to do writing. And if I'm talking about your subjects, you have lab, you have tests, you have quiz, you have assignment, you have reports, case study. When are you going to do all that? Tak ada masa, sebab tu you akan rasa tercekik. Okay, so the most important thing that I learned is time management. You manage your time. Always have timetables of what you want to do per day. Okay, if me, what I did when I was studying, I would print from the Microsoft Publisher calendars and write what I want to do and what is due for every lesson. They have lesson plan. Okay, so that's the lesson plan. Ada test, ada quiz, ada assignment, ada case study or whatsoever. Saya dah tulis minggu kuliah berapa, what needs to be done. And if you are doing your thesis, you have to write what you want to do in which week, what chapter you want to do. You have to include in your own calendar. Bukan dalam kalender itu tulis hari jadi siapa, saya jumpa ini boyfriend bila. Cannot. No time for all that. Okay, so be focused. So if you be focused, you can actually get A for all your subjects and you can get a good write-up. Kalau tak, whenever you have tests, when you have quiz, you will feel very, very difficult. Okay, so this is from my experience. Not bila you, usually lah bila student masuk campus saja, dia sudah beli bus tiket mau balik kampung. Cuti bila? First thing dia tengok kalender, cuti bila? Cuti bila? Okay, mau beli tiket. Cuti bila beli tiket? Cuti raya bila beli tiket? Semua pun mau balik. Balik, then all this time management all gone. Sebab apa tahu? You akan angkut your bag with the book. Nanti balik kita buat. Tapi satu hari sebelum balik, you'll be like, buku ni ada dekat dalam bag. You'll be like that. Okay, so I don't want that, all those things to happen. You are writing your thesis only for 2 semesters to us for UATM. So focus and finish it up nicely. And you are studying only for 4 years or 3 years or max 5 years. Okay, do the best. Okay, try to get a very good CGPA and try to graduate on time. So that's the only thing that I would suggest and advise to students. So next thing is this one. So no matter if you are doing whether undergraduate study or postgraduate study, is the same thing. Okay, so whether how persistent and how enthusiastic you are in your writing until you are accepted. Sama macam you are writing a journal paper as well. Okay, ramai orang akan kritik. A lot of people will give comments and suggestions and ideas that you feel very frustrating. You tulis banyak kali draft for your supervisor. Supervisor comment, you tak betul, itu, ini, and then you nangis. No point you nangis. You take it positively, you try to address it positively. Okay, so bila you can take it positively, then you will pass nicely. Okay, take it as an experience. So learn to be enthusiastic in your whatever you are doing. Do it dengan passion. So when you do it with passion, you will excel. Okay. And then writing ni selalunya students will complain it is the most difficult thing. Okay, so because of that, start right away. Tulis sikit pun tak apa. So, remember tadi saya cakap buat timetable kan? So you kena tulis dekat sana, okay, ini minggu ini saya nak tulis sikit ni. Minggu ni saya nak tulis sikit ni. So bila lama, sikit-sikit lama-lama jadi bukit. So you can write the whole chapter. Okay, that's how you do lah. And then you format. Make sure the format, you please refer to previous thesis in the library database so that you are from beginning, dari mula-mula you sudah tulis ikut format. Ikut spacing yang betul dan ikut layout yang betul. Jangan sekarang tak apa saya tulis dengan Calibri Word font 11 saja, nanti hujung saya buat. Don't do that. Okay, always from the beginning itself you already ikut format and refer to the thesis. Okay, and then resources. This is library facilities. What is the database that you can access? Please ask your library. What is the journals and how you access and how you find for journals. Actually, when you find for journals is you kena pandai cari. Okay, pandai cari maksudnya, okay, let's say you nak find antioxidant. You tulis dekat search button antioxidant. Lepas tu you pergi search. Okay, after you search, dekat sana ada lagi satu button as limit. So you limit, let's say you nak cari antioxidant dalam let's say cocoa waste. Okay, dalam limit tu you tulis cocoa waste and then you limit button. So whatever antioxidant work that has been done in cocoa waste will come up. Lepas tu kalau you nak filter lagi, you can filter. Okay, bukan you pergi tulis effect of blah 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 in what? Memang takkan keluar. Susah nak keluar macam tu. You use hanya keyword saja kalau nak access. And then for those who want to find journals, make sure you reword your journal name to simple words. Maksudnya tadi kita cari antioxidant cocoa waste kan? Tulis nama title tu cocoa waste antioxidant. And then you create sub folders dalam reference. Bukan kamu reference semua so much of references. By the end of your thesis, you ada banyak references. You buka je, you tak tahu mana satu, mana mau cari. Tak boleh. You be organized. You have sub folders. Let's say antioxidant satu folder, enzyme satu folder, consumer perception satu lagi folder, sensory analysis satu lagi folder. You keep your journal references properly. Proper storage of journals, very important. Because by the time you're writing your thesis, you will go crazy. And then evaluation criteria. Doesn't matter when you are writing a proposal or thesis, make sure you get hold of the evaluation criteria beforehand so that you know the mark distribution. For us in UiTM, we have abstract, we have introduction, which comprises of problem statement, significance of study, objectives, and significance, yes. Okay, so and then literature review, and then we have materials and methods, we have results and discussion, we have conclusion and recommendation, we have references, and the format, meaning students are actually evaluated based on the format as well. Okay, so so these are the evaluation criteria. Okay, so your hard-earned thesis study, okay, like what I mentioned, so your hard-earned thesis is actually people see only this when you success. Success is actually an iceberg illusion. What people see is only the top part, but at the bottom, only you know what you face, what you undergo. Okay, so meaning how persistent are you? What are the failure you encounter? What is the sacrifice you did? How many times you disappointed? How disciplined, Nani? Jam loceng. Time, again, how disciplined are you with time? Hard work. How dedicated are you? People don't see all this. Sebab tu saya kata tadi, nobody or very less people that talk about time management and how you want to approach, whether for your subjects or thesis writing, it's all same. Okay, so have passion and do it with passion. And okay, and with that, I would like to thank you for your attention. Always think positively, think like a proton, be positive. Jangan ingat writing a thesis is very difficult. It is not difficult if you do it properly. Okay, I have one more slide before my question and answer that I want to share. Selalunya masa kita kecil-kecil, masa di sekolah, okay, let's say this is sekolah rendah. So masa di sekolah rendah, selalu kita akan ingat, okay, saya nak habiskan buku ni, lepas tu I'm done. Saya sudah habis, okay, almost done. Okay, tapi kita tengok, bila pergi sekolah menengah, oh ada banyak lagi ilmu yang boleh dipelajari. There's a lot more knowledge that needs to be learned. Okay, we think, oh, okay, when we are done with high school, then we are almost there, almost to be done. Okay, high school, And then this is college or university. So samalah bila pergi college, bila pergi university as well, you feel that, okay, at the end of 4 years, at the end of 5 years, after my degree, I am going to succeed. At the end of this, when I submit this, and I submit this CD, I'm done. I am settled, I'm done, that's it, that's the end of my life. No, no, you are not settled yet, because this one, at the end of that, you still have a lot more to learn about life. Okay, you have a lot more to learn, about life, how you communicate, how you bring yourself, how you go to work, whether you want to continue study or not, how you manage your finances. All these are not told by anybody. You have to learn yourself, and and of course you get married, have kids, and have your own family, have your own house, have your own car, your dream things that you always wanted to do. Those kind of things is still a long way to go. So you are not done, you are not settled. Whoever think cukuplah sekadar pass for certain subjects, don't think like that. Always aim for A. Always keep your aims high, so that at least bila you aim A, you know you are putting a lot of effort. Bila you aim A, you dapat B, at least you know, okay, I tried my best. I tried my best and I did my best. Okay, same thing, it goes to the thesis. Try your level best, enjoy your writing, and jangan fikir writing sangat susah. Okay, with that, I would like to end my lecture. Any question? You're free to ask. Boleh tanya soalan. You can on your mic, or you can even ask me. Wait, anybody? Nak
Hi,
tanya
Doctor.
soalan? Hi Syafiq.
Doctor, I want to ask for yang tadi for statistical analysis, is it compulsory for every research ke ataupun certain kalau nak buat boleh, tak buat pun tak apa?
Oh tidak. Every research have to be every result has to ada your statistical analysis. Meaning whatever result that you have, that is not the end. Okay, same like how just now I said 7 and 10. Maksudnya you can tell 10 tu paling tinggi. Cannot. You have to do your statistical analysis. You must find your significant difference, and you must tell why you use that and what is the mechanism outside. You cannot tell just by looking at the value, you explain why it's happening. No. So every research, you have your statistical analysis. So it's just that it differs. I'm sure if it is in nutrition research, in food science research, we do lab work. But the statistical analysis, if it is for social sciences, is different. But we are not going to go into that. So I assume all of you guys should include statistical analysis. Must have. Okay, any
Right,
other
thank you,
questions?
Doctor.
All right.
Outlayer yang
Tak dengar. Ulang.
Siapa? Saya.
Anybody asking?
Doktor saya Madiha.
Madiha.
Yes.
Hi, Madiha.
For sensory,
For sensory, okay.
outlier, can we remove the data or we just keep the data inside our data yang kita kena calculate lah?
Actually, there's two ways. You put in your outlier there, okay, and then you discuss why there is an outlier, and after removing your outlier, you can actually run your stats. If you get a good representation of sensory perception from that with removing your outlier, then you must explain that in your discussion.
So in the stat we just run the removal of outlier punya results je lah.
Yes.
Okay.
But you have to include that in your discussion. Why you remove?
Okay. Okay, thank you, Doctor.
All right. Any more questions from Une?
Yes, doctor. From me.
Yes.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon,
Yes.
Dr. Rashida.
Yes.
And thank you so much for your talks. And your talk was absolutely great, especially with the time management one.
Okay.
And my question is, what about the qualitative method, doctor? Is there any exception related with the framework of a thesis?
Meaning
Thank you. That's all.
qualitative? Sorry, again?
Qualitative. What about the qualitative method, doctor?
Qualitative method, meaning
Yes.
you have to do survey or questionnaires, correct?
Yeah.
Yes, okay. So same thing like what I mentioned earlier, you still have to do your statistics for that, correct?
Yes.
Yes. So, so what is your question actually?
My question is there any exception, doctor, related with the framework of a thesis?
Usually there is no exception. It's like what I mentioned. You should include what approach you are taking. So if it is a qualitative method, same like how I mentioned during the COVID time, we did a review-based thesis. Okay, so review-based thesis is different than the research-based thesis. So if you are approaching the qualitative method of survey because of the COVID time, okay, so just include that. What is your approach? Who are you approaching? Your target? What are you intending to do? And what is your number of target? How you are doing it? So you have to include all that in your, I would say, in your overall methodology. So at least you have the idea of what are you going to do. So
Okay.
then I
Got
hope
it.
I answered your question.
Yeah, got it. Thank you so much, Dr. Rashida.
Right. Any more want to ask question?
Good afternoon, Dr.
Some,
Rashida.
yeah.
Sorry to interrupt you.
Yes, yes.
Firstly, I want to say thank you for the presentation and great motivation in the end of the presentation. I have several questions actually, but I think I want to ask. So my first question is, if I'm planning to use the secondary data,
Okay.
in the material and methods chapter, should I write like how the data is collected, or I just write what I'm gonna do with the data?
What you are collecting.
What I'm going, yeah.
What
Sorry?
you are collecting. You must write what you are collecting and what you are doing with the data.
Oh, so I don't have to write the how the data is collected.
No, what you are collecting, meaning how you are collecting, you have to explain. What you are collecting, although it's secondary data, how you're collecting, and how you're going to use the data that you get from that, what you are doing from that.
Okay.
You have to explain.
Okay, thank you. And my second question is, when I'm writing the introduction, yeah, I'm sorry. When I'm writing the introduction chapter, I found it is very confusing for me to separate which information that I should put in the background and which information I should put in the problem statement, because I just confused about it.
Okay, like this. If you have written your literature review, you have a nice read of your literature review again, okay? Or you look at the framework, what I call it, the table of content of your literature review. You see your big area of research and how you bring it down, okay? And then you try to think how you want to summarize that into your background of study.
Oh,
in 2 pages. Okay, that.
Okay.
And then for problem statement, what I would say is apa masalah? What is the problem that you are targeting in your research? So only what is the problem? So who is going to benefit is the significance of research.
Okay.
So this is how I give idea.
Okay, thank you. So if I have like the prevalence data or like a statistical data, it should be written in the, what's the word? The problem statement.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Rashida.
Okay. Anybody want to ask question?
Excuse me, Dr. Rashida.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. My name is Ayu, and I wanna ask you some question. No,
yes,
not a question. Yeah. In the cases if we get the result is not significant, right? It's not significant. How the best explanation we can share to the supervisor or our teacher about the our result. So did you get our?
I thought you will ask me how to explain a thesis.
Yeah. So,
so in thesis,
what we can represent in our paper if the result is not significant?
Okay, if it is not significant, you do not have to say anything about it in your thesis. You do not have to say anything about it. You only have to explain results that is significant. So, but I do not know how you want to explain to your supervisor. You have to maybe like, if in my case, I would ask my student to repeat the analysis if I see there is no trend. And then I'll ask my student to repeat the analysis, and then I see again, not significant. Okay, I agree, not significant, because I will think, oh, maybe the student made mistake. So that's what maybe you are trying to say, or how am I to convince my supervisor? So maybe if me, I will repeat. So at least you know that the human error is not there. But if you repeat and you get the same results, then I would say, okay, maybe it is wrong. But make sure when you repeat, you don't do the same exact way. You have to try to check every detail, whether you're doing it correctly or not. That is my suggestion lah. If you want to convince your supervisor, kenapa tidak significant?
So we can conclude that the result is not significant, is a mistake, then that we have to change again, or we check again how is the mistake.
Yes, that's what I suggest lah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Dr. Rasita, for the explanation.
All right. Any more questions? Semua crystal clear? Sudah nampak crystal ke tidak? Nanti semua tanya kristal itu apa? Okay, any more questions? Is Dr. Tria still here?
No, doctor, because Mr. Trias has another class.
I see. Okay, no problem. Okay, so if you have any more question, you can ask me.
So far no, doktor.
Semua faham lah, nampak kristal.
Nampak kristal.
This is very good for your FYP. Okay, jika tiada, you can, we can leave. And if in case you have any question, feel free to ask me anytime. You can email me and ask me. You can ask Dr. Trias. I just saw the WhatsApp. Sorry, there's messages here. Nanti jika ada ingin, okay, Dr. Rasita, I'm sorry I have to come Zoom meeting. Oh, okay. Oh, I just read his message. And for all participants, yes, all participants, please fill your participant form. Oh, dah nampak kristalnya. That is my FYP student. My Zing, your presentation becomes the Zing. Yes, I want you to do it with happiness. Nampak the happiness and the zing and the yang or whatsoever, how you want to put it, do it happily. Sebab bila you buat dengan suka, baru you boleh buat. Because in my experience, I have encountered students who left the whole degree because they cannot finish up the writing. Okay, so I don't want any of the students to do that, to go into waste. Please, persistent. Habiskan apa yang sudah dimulakan. Okay, finish it up and graduate and go to work. After work, maybe you want to continue study. Do as you wish, whatever you want. Okay, anybody have got any more question? Kalau tak, we can bersurai.
Sorry, Dr. Rashita, but Mr. Trias just told me that before we finish our meeting, we can take a picture.
Okay, can.
Yes,
Sure.
this picture is as a proof too for the Erlangga University student that they are present in this class. So
Can. Go
if you
ahead.
don't mind, please stop sharing the screen so I can
Oh,
take
sorry, Veda. Where am I?
all of the participants. If you don't mind, please put your camera on because I'm
Jangan
going to
malu-malu.
you. Please, I'm still waiting. There are several students who haven't turned on their camera. Okay, still waiting.
Hidayah, you are not. Your camera is not on. Itu dia.
Teman-teman dari Universitas Erlangga mungkin bisa menyalakan kameranya.
Semua teman dari UiTM pun tolong
iya.
buka.
Oke. Okay, I will start taking the picture. So there are 4 sections. I don't know. Okay, it's okay, Aris. I don't know. You don't know where you are in my monitor. So please stay until I say enough. Okay. 1 for section 1. 1, 2. Wait. 1. Sorry. 1, 2, 3. Section 2. 1, 2, 3. Section 3. 1, 2, 3. Section 4. And no one turning on their camera. Okay. Okay, it is done. Thank you.
Okay, terima kasih banyak for inviting me and listening until the end. I hope you will succeed in writing your thesis.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dr.
Okay.
Rashida.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Doctor. Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor. Lot of love from me.
Lots of love.
See you on Friday.
Thank you, Dr. Rashida. Goodbye.
Okay, bye.
Thank you so much, Dr. Rashida. Maybe you can leave for this meeting.
Sorry?
Maybe you can